Hi, I'm Cecily Korst. Welcome to the trailer.
The Trailer Talks is sponsored by Imaging DNA, Ideas, Images, Insight. The core of the conversation is the image at imagingdna.com.
So my name is Justin Kauszler. I'm one of the founders here at Coffitivity, and in this lovely space we call 80 amps at home.
Yep, and I'm ACe Callwood, and I'm the other co-founder of Coffitivity. Coffitivity is what we call a workday creativity tool. So we play the sounds of a coffee shop on your desktop or device, and it's actually proven by science to make you more creative, which is, so we kind of ran with that science and that research and built a product around it.
Cool. So where did that science and research come from?
University of Chicago, and it was featured in the Consumer Journal
of Consumer Research.
That's perfect. That's it.
There we go. So yeah, it's just a white paper that one of us read. Me, I'm the one that read it. So yeah, I read this white paper and then kind of ended up stuck to enjoying coffee shop sounds as a team as well. So it was kind of research plus experience, and we put the two together and built Coffitivity.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet? How did this whole thing start?
We actually met in the entrepreneurship program at VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. We both majored in entrepreneurship, which is a thing. That's always the question. Yes, it is a thing. And so we met in the program working on our first business, actually. We didn't like each other.
Not in the beginning, certainly not in the beginning. Well, I think it was just, we're both very boisterous and hard-headed, so we were very much colliding about our ideas about how one thing should be, and it turns out when you have very differing views, it actually makes for a good diverse team.
Yeah, a really good partnership. And so we ended up working together on our first business, promptly failed, so as entrepreneurs we can check that off the list. Actually, I say promptly, it was like a 1.5-year project for us. It was just a hell of a learning experience. And then at the end of that project, we were actually rebranding our startup in coffee shops, and that was kind of the catalyst for Justin saying, hey, coffee shop sounds, do something. And to research, Coffitivity is born. So, yeah.
Yep.
So we've been working together for probably 2.5 almost 3 years at this point.
Almost 3 years now.
Wow. I love your product, and it's free. How do you guys make money?
Originally, the idea was to sell as many apps as we can, and for anyone who is in the app business, everyone knows that it's incredibly difficult to get someone to jump that 0.99 hurdle. It's ridiculous. And so we thought that was the way for us, and we tried that, and we ended up doing a few promos where we gave away the app for free, and we realized we could give away thousands in like 24 hours. I think we did 25,000 one day in 24 hours. Wow. Yeah. Right. So, what we thought was, regardless of how the people got the app, everyone wanted more tracks. So we figured, why don't we keep working on getting tracks, making the ones we have a little bit better, give away the apps for free, and then soon, very soon, we'll be offering more apps for a small fee.
Yeah, so in-app purchase, if you will. So yeah, that's the plan right now. We're looking at a couple other things, some partnerships and some cool things that will add value to Coffitivity and kind of more than just the audio. But for now, business model is let's sell more tracks, get some international flavors in the mix of what you normally listen to.
Very cool. So how do you record? Where do you record?
So the first 3 tracks we actually did locally here in Richmond. So we just took in a field recorder, recorded a couple different places, and then engineered the audio, mixed it down, and those are what you hear today. So live tracks that we've altered a tiny bit to make it kind of more conducive to getting work done, less distracting. But yeah, all real live audio. Okay,
so what made you decide to go into entrepreneurship instead of going to work for like a big company?
My background, my parents are entrepreneurs, and so I was always kind of entrenched in Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad kind of stuff growing up. Got to sit in on board meetings when I was homeschooled as they were buying their first businesses. So like that stuff has always been natural to me. Came to school, knew I was majoring in entrepreneurship. And then as we came out of the senior capstone, kind of in the program, the idea was if we can get this business running, we won't have to go get real jobs, which was, I think, really important for both of us.
It was, yeah. Obviously, yeah. We hit the ground running, and we didn't stop until we failed. And I think that's the way you have to do it. Turns out, doing that, living this lifestyle is kind of like Pandora's box. And once you open it, once it's in your bloodstream, it's hard to get it out.
Yep.
So we've both been offered full-time jobs elsewhere, and you took one full-time for a little while.
I did
as well, and I hated it. I'm sure you're the same way. It just ate us alive, and we ended up cutting our hours down to the bare minimum, whatever it took to survive, as long as we could work on our own projects.
Yeah, what was crazy is I had friends reach out, and they're like, hey man, I know you're working this full-time job. I was at this big firm downtown, and they were like, I know you're working this full-time job, but it's killing your creativity. You're not the same person you used to be when you were out running full speed at the things that you were passionate about. And so we took a couple hard hits, like quit the job with no plan. At one point, I was kind of waking up in the morning and flipping my light switch to make sure my lights were still on, because I was picking 1 out of 3 bills to pay every month. So I mean, the struggle was very real for quite some time, and it's not. The struggle is very much around the corner still these days.
We're a little ahead of the curve right now, but yeah, it's very much looming behind us.
Why coffee sounds?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to some of the story that Ace was saying, and it has a lot to do with the type of sound that it is, the type of ambient sound that it is. I think it's something that people resonate with. I think entrepreneurship, at least in the downturn of the economy, kind of spurred growth. That's typically what you would see in history would tell you that. So people were doing anything they can to work anywhere they can, and I think coffee shops kind of resonate with people. And
it's been coffee shops has been a big thing. And so as we were kind of coming to the conclusion of our first project, we were with our team looking at a rebrand, and we were in and out of our favorite coffee shops for almost a 2-week sprint. And so what happened is Justin went back to the day job, part of which is writing business plans, which people think is this corporate-y, sit in a box and write.
Kind of.
But it's more of a creative process. I mean, you're telling a story and how you put a business plan together. And so if I remember correctly, you went and asked your boss if you could go back to the coffee shop?
Yeah, I asked my, and let me not be mean, my boss is a great friend of mine, awesome mentor. But I asked her if I could take my computer and go back to the coffee shop, and she was like, no, hell no, just get back to work.
And so, I mean, it was interesting. I think he pinged me right after that, and he was like, dude, we need to do coffee shop sounds. And the idea was, if he couldn't go to the coffee shop, just bring it to us. And I promptly said, no, that's a terrible idea.
Yes.
I told him it was stupid, and I didn't want to work on it. And he said, well, hey, guess what? You're kind of locked in, so we're doing this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, at the same time, it was interesting. I had ended up reading that research out of Chicago. And we started kind of first couple on how to put coffee shop sounds together. So it actually says a moderate level of noise is conducive to creative cognition, which means you're distracted just enough to start thinking abstractly, is kind of the synopsis of the research. And so that can come in a lot of different forms, but what we found is that 70 decibels is most commonly found in coffee shops. So kind of that perfect storm of experience on our part and research that we read and somebody else doing the footwork on telling us why, that came together to make Coffitivity.
So how many downloads do you have?
202,774.
Something like that.
So what was last year's pinch me moment for you guys?
We launched on March 4th. We had 120 page views, which means both of our moms collectively looked at it 60 times a piece. And that was we were stoked. And the second day, you got a call?
I got a call around 10:30 saying that our server had crashed, and that we had to pay significant amounts of money to get it back online.
Yep.
There's 45,000 page views.
Wow.
That day. It was wild.
And then I'd say the second for us was Time Magazine. We were just fortunate to be named to Time Magazine's top 50 sites of the year.
That in itself had a funny story too.
Well, yeah, nobody told us.
We had no idea.
It was probably a week later that we saw a spike in our traffic. We were checking analytics, and you dug in, and I remember clearly Justin saying, what is techland.time.com? It's a source that drove a lot of traffic. I said, hey, dude, that's Time Magazine. And so we went to the site, and we had been reading through their top 50 list for years. Our developer was like, he tweeted the day before, one day we're going to be on this list. And meaning kind of several years down the road.
He hadn't gone through the
right.
list all the way.
None of us had gotten to the end.
But we hadn't gotten that far. And it turns out we were like the second to last, or I don't know, we were towards the end somewhere.
Yeah, we were in the 40s of the 50. And so turns out we were on that list. Nobody told us. And that was just to be included in that was some of the big things that had come out.
There's some really cool companies.
That was certainly a pinch me.
So what's next for you guys? What's coming in the future?
New app build is coming out. So we redid the design of the app. That'll be rolling out here shortly. I think we alluded to iOS and Mac.
And possibly the web app, maybe.
Web app will be getting a facelift potentially. So we haven't gotten that far. We know iOS and Mac are kind of first on our priority list.
Yeah.
And then we'll roll into other redesigns. More tracks coming. So we've got hopefully something from Tokyo getting cleaned up right now. We've got a couple other international pieces.
Yeah. You didn't hear it from us, but maybe Spain or France. But
you did hear it from us.
You heard it from us.
You heard it from us.
It's an exclusive.
You heard it first. So yeah, those, and then kind of long-term vision. We're kind of reevaluating that with the team and seeing what makes sense. So you actually gave us a hand when we went through that survey.
Yep.
We'll be rolling a survey to the site to get some feedback from everybody in how they use Coffitivity now, and then kind of what they'd like to see or how they could see themselves using it in the future.
Take the survey.
Take the survey.
Yeah, absolutely. Take the survey. It's painless.
It'll be at the top of the site. Quick click through and maybe some incentive for taking that as well. So yeah, the survey's coming out, and that'll help us really think about what comes in the next year or two. And hopefully we'd be able to add some more tools that help people work into the whole site and the whole kind of package of Coffitivity, if you will.
Cool. So tell everybody where they can find out more about you.
More about us at Coffitivity.com. Coffitivity. I think it's I don't know what I'm pointing at, but yeah, Coffitivity.com. You can find us in the App Store.
Yep. Facebook, obviously, Instagram, Twitter. We have a Tumblr even.
Yeah, we do have a Tumblr. And then our personal Twitter handles are at the bottom of the site, and you can follow us and see what shenanigans we're getting into at any given time of the day.
And there's also a form on the bottom of the website if you want to reach out.
So what's your advice for people that are on this kind of creative path, entrepreneurism, starting new things that nobody else has thought of yet?
You can't do this kind of thing half foot in, half foot out. You gotta be crazy and be in love with it, or
and dive in head first.
Yeah.
And I've got kind of two. One came from one of our early mentors, like one of the first people we met when we started on this path. And he said, always, every person you meet, ask one thing, or three things really. Who are you? What do you do? How can I help you? And the way he meant that, I know what he meant, which was every person you ask, find out how they can interact and help you further your goal. But I'll take the flip side of that in knowing how you would answer those questions is huge. It's crucial.
It is.
Every time you go out and talk to somebody, be able to tell them what you do and how you can add value to anything they're involved with. Being able to talk about yourself is huge, and I've seen careers fail because people couldn't tell others what they were good at. So that's the big thing. And then to piggyback on something Justin said, is just go out and do it. I would say ship it is something we say internally. It's get to a point where you've got the basic core of what you're trying to do, and then go out and have people look at it.
Hey, thanks very much, and I will keep spreading the word about you guys because I think what you're doing is so freaking cool.
Awesome. Thank you. Danke.
No.